An unknown man locked the bridal suite door. The sound echoed like a gunshot in the silence. Isabella Cruz froze, her fingers still wrapped around the pearl buttons of her wedding dress. In 30 seconds, her entire life would change. In 2 hours, she'd be on a plane to a place she'd never heard of. And the secret she'd been keeping for 3 years would either save her or destroy everything. But right now, Isabella was just a bride. 24 years old, standing in the rose-scented bridal suite of the San Miguel Cathedral. Her dark hair cascaded down her back in careful curls that had taken 3 hours to perfect. Her honey-brown eyes were bright with nerves and hope. The ivory lace dress hugged her curves like it was made for her. Because it was. 8 months of saving, every tip from the restaurant where she worked double shifts, every penny she could scrape together. Today was supposed to be perfect. Sophia? Isabella called toward the bathroom where her best friend had disappeared to fix her mascara. Can you help me with these buttons? I can't reach the top ones. No answer. Sophia, seriously. Marcus is probably having a panic attack out there. You know how he gets. Still nothing. Isabella turned from the mirror, her white heels clicking against the marble floor. The bridal suite was beautiful. All cream walls and gold accents. Fresh roses in crystal vases. Sunlight streaming through tall windows that overlooked the courtyard where 100 guests were already seated. Her mother would have loved this. The thought came unbidden, painful. Her mother had been gone 5 years now. Cancer, quick and merciless. Her father had followed 2 years later. Heart attack, the doctors said. But Isabella knew better. He died of a broken heart. Sophia? She pushed open the bathroom door. Empty. Isabella's stomach tightened. Where did she go? She walked back into the main room, scanning for her friend's bright red dress. The bridesmaid dress they'd picked out together. Laughing over champagne and wedding magazines. The door to the hallway stood slightly ajar. That's weird. Sophia wouldn't leave without saying something. Isabella moved toward it, her dress rustling with each step. She reached for the handle. It didn't turn. She tried again. Nothing. Hello? Isabella knocked. Is someone out there? The door is stuck. Footsteps. Heavy. Deliberate. Coming closer. The lock clicked. The door swung open. A man stood in the hallway. He was tall. 6'3" at least. Broad shoulders filled out a perfectly tailored black suit. No tie. The white shirt was open at the collar, revealing tan skin and the edge of something dark. A tattoo maybe. But it was his eyes that made Isabella's breath catch. Gray. Like storm clouds before lightning. Cold and assessing. They swept over her slowly. Taking in the wedding dress. The careful curls. The pearled buttons she hadn't finished fastening. He looked at her like he was memorizing every detail. Like he'd been waiting for this moment. Who are you? Isabella's voice came out smaller than she intended. You can't be in here. This is the bridal suite. The man stepped inside. She backed up instinctively. Her spine hit the vanity table. Makeup brushes clattered to the floor. He closed the door behind him. Locked it. The click of the deadbolt was the loudest sound Isabella had ever heard. My name is Dante Moreno. His voice was low, controlled, the kind that didn't need volume to command attention. And I'm afraid there's been a change of plans, Isabella. Ice water flooded her veins. He knows my name. I don't understand. Her hands gripped the edge of the vanity table. Knuckles white. How do you know who I am? What are you doing here? Dante Moreno moved closer. Not aggressive, just inevitable. Like a storm rolling in. 3 steps. That's all it took for him to eat up the space between them. He was close enough now that she could smell him. Cedar and smoke. Something expensive and dangerous. Your wedding ends here, Angel. The words were soft, almost gentle. They destroyed her anyway. What? Isabella's heart slammed against her ribs. What are you talking about? I'm getting married in 20 minutes. Marcus is waiting. My guests are. Marcus isn't waiting for anything. Dante's gray eyes held hers without mercy. He's gone. The room tilted. That's not true. Isabella shook her head. Chestnut curls swayed. You're lying. He wouldn't just leave. We're getting married today. We've been planning this for 6 months. Dante finished her sentence. I know. I've been watching you for longer than that. The words hung in the air like smoke. Watching me? Isabella's mind raced. This man, this stranger, he'd been watching her? For how long? Why? I'm going to scream. She tried to sound brave. Strong. But her voice shook. There are 100 people outside. Security guards. If I scream, they'll come running. No, they won't. The certainty in his voice made her stomach drop. My men are handling the situation. Dante said it like he was discussing the weather. Casual. Factual. Your guests will be told there's been an emergency. The wedding is postponed. Everyone will leave quietly. Your men? Isabella's voice pitched higher. Fear crept up her spine like ice. What are you talking about? What emergency? Dante reached into his jacket pocket. Isabella flinched. Her body pressed harder against the vanity. Nowhere to go. Nowhere to run. He pulled out a phone. Not a weapon. Just a phone. Look at the screen. She didn't want to. Every instinct screamed at her to refuse. To fight. To do something other than stand here like a helpless doll. But his eyes. Those cold gray eyes. They told her she had no choice. Isabella looked. The photo on the screen made her world crack apart. Marcus. Her Marcus. The man she was supposed to marry in 17 minutes. He sat in what looked like a hotel room. A suitcase on the bed beside him. And in his hand, money. Stacks of it. $100 bills bound with paper bands. What is this? Isabella's voice broke. Where did you get this? From the man who paid your groom. Dante's thumb swiped across the screen. Another photo appeared. And this one. And this one. More pictures. Marcus accepting envelopes. Marcus shaking hands with men in expensive suits. Marcus signing papers with the kind of serious expression he never wore with her. I don't understand. Tears burned behind Isabella's eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Why would Marcus take money? From who? From me. The admission landed like a punch. You? Isabella looked up at Dante Moreno. Really looked at him. The expensive suit. The cold authority. The way he stood like he owned every room he entered. Why would you pay my fiancé? What could you possibly want that would? Understanding hit her like a freight train. Me. The word came out as barely a whisper. You paid him to give me up. Dante didn't confirm or deny. He just watched her process the truth. Watched her world crumble in real time. How much? Isabella's hands curled into fists. Rage replaced shock. Hot and bright and consuming. How much was I worth? What's the going rate for a bride these days? $100,000. The number shouldn't have hurt. It was just money. Just a transaction. But hearing it, knowing Marcus had looked at that number and decided it was enough. Isabella slapped him. Her palm connected with Dante Moreno's cheek with a crack that echoed through the suite. His head barely moved. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Isabella's hand stung. Her chest heaved with anger and heartbreak and terror all mixed together. Dante's jaw tightened. A muscle twitched beneath his dark beard. Then he smiled. It was the coldest smile Isabella had ever seen. Good, he said quietly. You have fire. You're going to need it. I'm not going anywhere with you. Isabella moved sideways along the vanity, trying to create distance. I don't care how much you paid Marcus. I don't care what kind of game this is. I'm walking out that door, and I'm calling the police. No, you're not. The certainty in Dante's voice stopped her cold. You can't keep me here. She lifted her chin, defiant even as fear thrummed through every nerve. This is kidnapping. You'll go to prison. I won't. 2 words. That's all. But they carried the weight of absolute truth. Men like me don't go to prison, Isabella. Dante straightened his cuffs. The gesture was casual, almost elegant. We own the people who decide who goes to prison. The casual admission made her skin crawl. What are you? She breathed the question. Some kind of criminal? Some kind. His lips twitched, almost amused. The Moreno family controls most of the trade routes between here and Colombia. Imports, exports, protection. We provide services that people need. Services they can't get through legal channels. A cartel. The word screamed in Isabella's mind. This man, this stranger who'd locked her in a bridal suite and destroyed her wedding. He was a cartel boss. I read the news. Her voice came out steady despite the panic. I know what that means. Drugs, violence, people who disappear, among other things. Dante didn't deny any of it. But I'm not here to hurt you. You're kidnapping me from my own wedding. Isabella's laugh was sharp, bitter. How is that not hurting me? Because the alternative is worse. Something in his tone made her pause. There was no threat in the words. No anger. Just cold fact. What alternative? Isabella asked before she could stop herself. Dante's gray eyes held hers. The one where you marry a man who sold you to cover his gambling debts. Where you spend your honeymoon wondering why he flinches when the phone rings. Where you wake up 6 months from now and find him gone. Really gone. Because the people he owes don't take partial payments. Each word hit like a hammer. Marcus has debts? Isabella's mind spun. How much? 300,000. Dante said it like it was pocket change. He's been borrowing from dangerous people for 2 years. Using your wedding fund, your savings, every dollar you put aside for the restaurant. The restaurant. Isabella's dream. The one she'd been planning since she was 16. A small place with good food and warm atmosphere. Somewhere people felt at home. She'd told Marcus about it on their second date. He'd smiled and said he believed in her. Said they'd make it happen together. You're lying. But even as she said it, Isabella felt the truth settling in her bones. Marcus wouldn't do that. He knows how important. He spent it. Dante's voice was flat. All of it. On poker games and bad bets and promises he couldn't keep. And when his creditors came calling, he made a deal. One bride in exchange for debt forgiveness and a cash bonus. Isabella's legs felt weak. She gripped the vanity to stay upright. I don't believe you. Yes, you do. He was right. She did believe him. Because suddenly everything made sense. The way Marcus had been distant the last few months. The phone calls he took in the other room. The way he'd insisted on a quick wedding. No long engagement. No waiting. She'd thought he was romantic. Eager to start their life together. He was just desperate. If this is true. Isabella's voice cracked. If Marcus really did this. Why did you agree? Why pay for someone you don't even know? Dante's expression shifted. Something flickered behind those cold gray eyes. Not quite warmth, but not emptiness either. Because I've been looking for you for 3 years, Isabella Cruz. The world stopped. Looking for me? She barely recognized her own voice. Why? I don't know you. I've never seen you before in my life. But I know you. Dante moved closer. One step, then another. Closing the distance until he stood directly in front of her. I know you work double shifts at Casa Rosa. I know you take the bus home every night at 11. I know you visit your parents' graves every Sunday with fresh flowers. Isabella's breath caught. You've been stalking me. I've been waiting. His hand lifted, slowly, giving her time to pull away. His fingers brushed her cheek. The touch was gentle, almost reverent, for the right moment, when you'd have nowhere else to go. When taking you wouldn't destroy you. This is insane. Tears finally spilled over. Hot tracks down her face. You're insane. Perhaps. Dante's thumb caught a tear. But I'm also the only option you have left. A knock at the door made Isabella jump. Boss. A male voice. Deep. Respectful. It's time. Dante's hand dropped from her face. He turned toward the door without urgency. Wait. Isabella's voice was desperate now. Please. Just tell me why. Why me? What could you possibly want with me? He paused. His back to her. Broad shoulders tense beneath the expensive suit. Your father. The words were quiet. Antonio Cruz. Isabella's heart stopped. My father was a mechanic. He fixed cars. That's all. No. Dante turned back to face her. That wasn't all. Your father worked for my family for 15 years. He transported goods, kept records, knew things that could destroy us. The room spun. You're lying. But the words had no force. My father would never. Your father was a good man in a bad situation. Dante's voice softened, just slightly. He did what he had to do to keep you and your mother safe. To put food on the table. To pay for your mother's treatments when the cancer came. The cancer. Isabella remembered those years. The hospital bills. The experimental treatments insurance wouldn't cover. Her father working 3 jobs. Coming home exhausted. But the money had always been there. She'd thought he was just a hard worker. Before he died, Dante continued, your father made a deal with mine. A guarantee that if anything happened to him, you would be protected. Taken care of. Protected? Isabella's laugh was hollow. By kidnapping me? By keeping you out of the hands of people who would use you. Dante's jaw tightened. Your father kept records, Isabella. Evidence of every transaction, every route, every name. He said it was insurance. To keep you safe if anyone ever came after his family. Isabella's mind raced. Where are these records? That's what I need to find out. Dante's gray eyes pinned her. Because if they surface, if someone else gets them, my family is finished, and so are you. The weight of his words settled over her like a shroud. I don't know anything about records. Isabella's voice was barely a whisper. My father never told me about any of this. I know. Dante straightened, but his enemies don't. To them, you're a loose end. A daughter who might have access to information that could start a war. Another knock at the door. More insistent this time. Boss. The window is closing. Dante's expression hardened. He moved toward Isabella with purpose. She tried to run. There was nowhere to go. His arm wrapped around her waist. Firm but not rough. He pulled her against his chest. I'm giving you a choice, Angel. His breath was warm against her ear. Come with me willingly. Let me keep you safe while we find those records. Or stay here. Take your chances with Marcus's creditors and my family's enemies. That's not a choice. Isabella struggled against his hold. That's a threat. No. Dante's grip tightened just enough to stop her movement. A threat is what happens if you stay. I'm offering you survival. By making me your prisoner? By making you mine. The possessive words sent shivers down her spine. Fear and something else. Something she didn't want to name. Let me go. She tried one more time. Weaker now. Please. I can't. And for the first time, Dante Moreno's voice held something other than cold control. I won't. He lifted her. One smooth motion that left her feet dangling. Isabella kicked. Her white heels caught air. Put me down. Dante carried her toward the door like she weighed nothing. His stride was unhurried, controlled. The door opened. Two men stood in the hallway. Both wore black suits. Both had the same cold, professional expression. And both had guns holstered beneath their jackets. Isabella stopped struggling. Where's Sophia? The question burst out. What did you do to my friend? Your friend is fine. Dante didn't break stride. She's been escorted home with a generous payment for her trouble. She'll wake up tomorrow thinking you had cold feet and ran. They moved through the hallway. Past the room where Marcus should have been getting ready. Past the staircase that led down to the sanctuary where 100 guests had been seated. The cathedral was empty now. Not a single person remained. The silence was deafening. A black SUV waited at the side entrance. Tinted windows. Engine running. The door hung open like a mouth ready to swallow her whole. No. Isabella thrashed with renewed energy. No, I'm not getting in that car. Dante's hold remained firm. He slid into the back seat with her still in his arms. Trapped between his body and the door. The vehicle moved before she could even try the handle. It's locked, Dante said quietly, reading her mind. And bulletproof. Don't waste your energy. Isabella pressed herself against the opposite door anyway. As far from him as the confined space allowed. Her wedding dress bunched around her legs. The lace was already dirty from the struggle. The pearl buttons she'd been so careful with were half undone. Her perfect wedding day. Ruined. Where are you taking me? She hated how small her voice sounded. Somewhere safe. Dante adjusted his suit jacket. Calm. Like he hadn't just kidnapped someone from a church. Somewhere we can talk. Really talk. Without interruption. We could have talked at the cathedral. Isabella's hands curled into fists. You didn't have to do this. Yes, I did. His gray eyes found hers in the dim light. You would have run. Called the police. Done everything you could to get away from me. And I would have had to hurt people to keep you. So this is mercy? The word tasted bitter. Kidnapping is your version of kindness? It's my version of necessity. Dante pulled out his phone. Typed something quickly. I don't enjoy this, Isabella. Believe it or not, I don't believe anything you say. She turned away. Watched the city blur past the window. You're a liar and a criminal and a realist, he finished. I'm a realist. I see the world as it is. Not as I wish it were. The SUV turned onto a highway. Moving fast, leaving the city behind. Isabella's pulse hammered. How long have you been planning this? 3 years. The admission made her stomach turn. 3 years? But you said, I've been looking for you for 3 years. Dante pocketed his phone. Your father went to great lengths to hide you after he left my family. Fake addresses. False trails. He moved you 6 times in 2 years. Isabella remembered that. The constant moving. Her father's paranoia. The way he'd check the locks 3 times before bed. She'd thought he was just getting old. Losing his edge. He was running. I finally tracked you to San Miguel 8 months ago. Dante continued. Found out about Marcus. About the wedding. And I waited. Why wait? Isabella turned back to face him. If you've been watching me for 8 months, why wait until today? His jaw tightened. Because I needed you to understand what Marcus really was. I needed you to see that your life with him was built on lies. So when I took you, you'd have nothing to go back to. The calculated cruelty of it stole her breath. You could have just told me. Isabella's voice cracked. You could have shown me the evidence. Let me make my own choice. And you would have believed a stranger over the man you loved? Dante's tone was almost pitying. No, you would have run to Marcus. Warned him. And he would have convinced you I was lying. He was right. Isabella hated that he was right. I would have run, she admitted quietly. I would have chosen him. I know. Dante's expression softened. Just a fraction. That's why I had to do it this way. The SUV slowed. They turned onto a private road. Trees lined both sides, thick and dark, blocking out the sun. After what felt like miles, a gate appeared. Iron, 12 feet high, topped with cameras that tracked their approach. The gate swung open. They drove through. The estate was massive, more mansion than house, all white stone and tall windows. Manicured gardens stretched out on both sides. A fountain stood in the circular driveway. Stone angels frozen in eternal grace. Welcome home, angel. Dante's voice held a dark amusement. This is where you'll be staying. The SUV stopped at the front entrance. Dante climbed out first, extended a hand toward Isabella. She ignored it, climbed out on her own. Her white heels sank into the gravel. 3 more black SUVs pulled up behind them. Men emerged, all in suits, all armed. They moved with military precision, surrounding the entrance, creating a perimeter. This is a prison. Isabella's voice was flat. You can call it a home. You can call it protection. But it's a prison. Yes. Dante didn't argue. But it's a comfortable one. He walked toward the front door. Assumed she would follow. Isabella didn't move. I'm not walking in there. She crossed her arms. If you want me inside, you're going to have to drag me. Dante stopped, turned, looked at her with those cold gray eyes. Fine. He walked back, lifted her over his shoulder in one smooth motion. Put me down. Isabella pounded her fists against his back. You can't just. I can. Dante's voice was calm. And I am. He carried her through the front door, into a foyer that was all marble and crystal chandeliers. A massive staircase curved up to the second floor. A woman stood waiting, mid-40s, dark hair pulled back. She wore a simple black dress and an expression that gave nothing away. Teresa. Dante set Isabella down, kept one hand on her arm. This is Isabella. She'll be staying with us. Show her to the east wing. Give her whatever she needs. Teresa's gaze flicked to Isabella's wedding dress. Her smudged makeup, the tear tracks on her cheeks. Something flickered in the woman's eyes. Pity maybe. Or understanding. Of course. Teresa's voice was gentle. This way, Miss Isabella. I don't want whatever you're offering. Isabella yanked her arm free from Dante's grip. I want to go home. You're home. Dante's tone left no room for argument. The sooner you accept that, the easier this will be. I'll never accept this. Isabella's voice shook. You can lock me up. You can watch me, but you can't make me accept this. Dante's expression hardened. We'll see. He turned and walked away, down a hallway that led deeper into the house. His footsteps echoed on the marble. Then he was gone. Isabella stood in the massive foyer. Her wedding dress dirty and torn. Her heart breaking. Her world shattered. And nowhere to run. Teresa touched her arm gently. Come, let me show you to your room. You can clean up. Rest. I'll bring you food. I'm not hungry. Isabella's voice was hollow. You will be. Teresa started up the staircase. And when you are, I'll be there. The room Teresa led her to was beautiful. All cream and gold. A massive 4-poster bed draped in silk. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the gardens. A bathroom with a jacuzzi tub. A walk-in closet already filled with clothes. Women's clothes. In her size. He planned this. Isabella's voice was numb. All of this. Down to the clothes. Teresa set fresh towels on the bathroom counter. Mr. Moreno is very thorough. Mr. Moreno is a monster. Teresa paused, turned to look at Isabella with dark, knowing eyes. Perhaps. But he's also a man who keeps his promises. What promises? Isabella wanted to scream. To throw things. To break something. Anything. He kidnapped me. Destroyed my wedding. Took everything from me. Did he? Teresa's voice was quiet. Or did he save you from something worse? The question hung in the air. Isabella had no answer. I'll leave you to rest. Teresa moved toward the door. There's a lock on the inside. You can use it if it makes you feel safer. But the windows don't open. And there are guards outside. So I'm a prisoner. You're protected. Teresa's expression softened. There's a difference. She left. The door closed with a soft click. Isabella stood alone in the beautiful cage. For a long moment, she didn't move. Couldn't move. Everything that had happened crashed over her like a wave. The wedding. Marcus's betrayal. Dante's cold gray eyes. The way he'd said, mine, like he owned her. She sank to the floor. The wedding dress pooled around her like melted snow. And finally, Isabella let herself cry. She cried until there were no tears left. Until her throat was raw and her eyes were swollen. Until the sun had set and darkness crept through the windows. Then Isabella stood up. She walked to the bathroom. Looked at herself in the mirror. Her makeup was destroyed. Mascara tracks ran down her face. Her carefully styled hair was a mess. The pearl buttons on her dress hung loose. She looked like exactly what she was. A bride who'd been stolen on her wedding day. Isabella started pulling pins from her hair. One by one. Methodical. Until her dark curls fell free around her shoulders. Then she unzipped the wedding dress. Stepped out of it. Left it in a heap on the floor. She climbed into the shower. Turned the water as hot as she could stand. Scrubbed her skin until it was raw. Washed away the makeup. The perfume. Every trace of the day that was supposed to be perfect. When she finally emerged, Isabella wrapped herself in a plush robe. Soft as a cloud. Even the bathrobe in this place was expensive. A knock at the door made her freeze. "Miss Isabella?" Teresa's voice. "I brought you dinner." Isabella didn't answer. The door opened anyway. Teresa wheeled in a cart. Silver domes covered the plates. The smell of food filled the room. Rich and savory. Isabella's stomach growled despite everything. "I'm not hungry." The lie was obvious. Teresa lifted one of the domes. Fresh bread. Grilled chicken. Vegetables from the garden. Mr. Moreno's chef prepared it specially. Of course he did. Isabella's voice was bitter. Because Mr. Moreno thinks he can fix everything with food in expensive rooms. He thinks he can keep you alive. Teresa set out the plates. That's all. Isabella moved closer despite herself. The food looked incredible. Her last meal had been, when? Yesterday? This morning? Time had lost all meaning. She sat down, picked up a fork. Teresa smiled slightly. "Eat. You'll need your strength." "For what?" Isabella took a bite. The flavors exploded on her tongue. Rich. Perfectly seasoned. For surviving this, Teresa headed for the door. "This is just the beginning, Miss Isabella. You're going to need to be strong." Isabella ate alone. The food was too good. She hated that it was too good. Hated that even in captivity, even in the middle of her worst nightmare, her body still craved nourishment. When she finished, she walked to the windows. Looked out at the gardens below. Moonlight painted everything in silver. Figures moved in the shadows. Guards. Making their rounds. Checking the perimeter. This isn't just a mansion. It's a fortress. She tried the windows anyway. Just to confirm what Teresa had said. Locked. All of them. Isabella paced. Back and forth. Her bare feet silent on the thick carpet. Her mind churned with questions. With plans. With desperate hope that this was all a nightmare. She would wake up. Marcus would be shaking her awake. Laughing about the crazy dream she'd had. But the hours passed. And she didn't wake up. Because this wasn't a dream. This was her new reality. Around midnight, exhaustion finally won. Isabella climbed into the massive bed. The sheets were silk, cool against her skin. The mattress was perfect. Not too soft. Not too firm. She closed her eyes. Sleep didn't come. Instead, she lay in the darkness. Thinking. Planning. I need to find a way out. A weak point. A moment when the guards aren't watching. Something. There has to be something. But even as she thought it, Isabella knew the truth. Dante Moreno didn't leave weak points. Men like him. Men who controlled entire territories. Who bought and sold people like property. They didn't make mistakes. Still, she had to try. Because the alternative was accepting this. Accepting that she belonged to a man she didn't know. A criminal who decided she was his. I won't accept it, no matter what he says. No matter how long this takes. I'll find a way out. I have to. Morning came too early. Sunlight streamed through the windows. Bright and warm and entirely at odds with Isabella's mood. Someone knocked at the door. Go away. Isabella pulled the blanket over her head. The door opened anyway. Good morning, Angel. Dante's voice cut through her cocoon. Time to get up. Isabella sat up so fast her head spun. Get out. Dante stood in the doorway. He wore dark jeans and a white t-shirt. Casual. Almost normal. Except for the gun holstered at his hip. We need to talk. He didn't move. Didn't come closer. Just stood there with those cold gray eyes watching her. Get dressed. I'll wait in the sitting room. I'm not getting dressed for you. Isabella clutched the blanket. I'm not doing anything you say. You're wearing my bathrobe. Dante's lips twitched. So technically, you're already doing what I say. Heat flooded her face. Get out. This time, he listened. The door closed behind him. Isabella sat there, shaking with rage, or fear, or both. She climbed out of bed, walked to the closet. Rows of clothes hung in perfect order. Dresses, pants, tops, all in her size, all expensive brands. She grabbed the first thing she touched. Black jeans, a simple white t-shirt. Clothes for disappearing, for blending in, for escaping. When Isabella emerged from the bedroom, Dante sat in a chair by the window. Morning light gilded his dark hair, made his gray eyes look almost silver. He glanced up, his gaze swept over her simple clothes. Better. He stood. Come, sit. I'll stand. Suit yourself. Dante moved to a small table where coffee waited. 2 cups. He poured 1, added cream, 2 sugars. Exactly how she took it. Isabella's stomach turned. How do you know how I take my coffee? I know everything about you, Isabella. Dante held out the cup. I've made it my business to know. She didn't take it, refused to give him even that small victory. Dante set it down, shrugged, took his own cup. Black, no sugar. We need to discuss your father's records. He said it like they were discussing the weather. I need to know if he told you anything. Even something small, a location, a name, a phrase that didn't make sense. He told me nothing. Isabella's voice was flat. I didn't even know he worked for you until yesterday. That's what I thought. Dante took a slow sip. But I had to ask. Just to be certain. So what now? Isabella crossed her arms. You keep me here forever? Wait for me to magically remember something I never knew? No. Dante set down his cup. Now we go through your father's things. Together. Every box. Every paper. Every photograph. Until we find what we're looking for. I don't have my father's things. Isabella's throat tightened. When he died, I was broke. I couldn't afford storage. I sold most of it. Donated the rest. Something flickered in Dante's eyes. Surprise maybe. Everything? Almost everything. The admission hurt. I kept a few photos. His watch. But the furniture, the files from his office. I couldn't keep any of it. Dante went very still. Files from his office? Too late. Isabella realized her mistake. What files? Dante moved closer. Not threatening, but focused. Intense. What did you do with them? I donated them. Isabella backed up a step. To a charity. They were just old papers. Tax returns and receipts. Nothing important. Where? His voice was sharp now. Which charity? I don't remember. It was the truth. Some place that came to pick up donations. They took boxes of stuff. Dante pulled out his phone. Typed rapidly. When was this? 2 years ago. Isabella watched him work. Why does it matter? It was just paperwork. My father kept everything. Every receipt from every gas station. It was just clutter. Or it was camouflage. Dante's jaw tightened. Your father was smart. He wouldn't hide important information where it looked important. He'd bury it in plain sight. The realization made Isabella's pulse spike. You think the records are in those boxes? I think there's a chance. Dante made a call. Put the phone to his ear. Rico, I need you to trace every charity pickup in San Miguel from April 2 years ago. Focus on anything that handled document donations. A pause. I don't care how many there were. Find them all. Cross-reference with the address on Antonio Cruz's file. Yes. Now. He ended the call. Looked at Isabella with new intensity. If those records are in a random charity warehouse somewhere. His voice was low. Dangerous. Then we have very little time. Time for what? Isabella whispered. To find them before someone else does. Dante left to make more calls. Barked orders in rapid Spanish to people Isabella couldn't see. She stood alone in the sitting room. Her mind racing. The files. Her father's endless paperwork. She'd thought it was meaningless. The hoarding of a man who couldn't let go. But maybe. What if he hid something there? What if I gave away the one thing that could have saved me? The door opened. A new person entered. Male. Late 20s. Muscular build. Dark hair. Easy smile. You must be Isabella. He extended a hand. I'm Rico. Dante's second in command. And occasional babysitter when he's in one of his moods. Isabella didn't take his hand. I'm not shaking hands with my kidnappers. Rico's smile didn't fade. Fair enough. He dropped his hand. For what it's worth, I voted against this whole plan. Told the boss it was too risky. Too much could go wrong. Then why did he do it anyway? The question burst out before she could stop it. Rico's expression grew serious. Because Dante Moreno doesn't do anything unless he's absolutely certain. And he's been certain about you for 3 years. Certain about what? Isabella moved closer, desperate for answers. Why me? What makes me so important that he'd risk all of this? Rico glanced at the doorway, making sure Dante wasn't there. Then he lowered his voice. Because your father didn't just keep records, Isabella. He kept insurance. Evidence that could destroy not just our family, but 5 other organizations. Evidence that would start a war. Isabella's blood went cold. A war? The kind where thousands of people die. Rico's expression was grim. The kind where territories get swallowed up. Where entire families are wiped out. Your father knew that evidence would keep him safe. Keep you safe. As long as no one could find it. But he's dead now. Isabella's voice shook. So the insurance doesn't work anymore. Exactly. Rico straightened. Which is why half the cartels in Colombia are looking for those records. And why they're looking for you. The room spun. They think I have them. Isabella sank into a chair. They think I know where they are. Or that you can be used to draw out anyone who does. Rico's tone was matter of fact. Your father had partners. People he trusted. If any of them have access to those files, they'll come for you. To protect you. To use you. To silence you. Take your pick. So Dante took me first. The pieces clicked together. Not just for the records. But to use me as bait. No. Dante's voice cut through the room. Isabella's head snapped up. He stood in the doorway. His expression was darker than she'd ever seen it. I took you to keep you alive. Dante moved into the room. Nothing more. Nothing less. You expect me to believe that? Isabella stood. Faced him. You expect me to believe you kidnapped me out of the goodness of your heart? I expect you to believe I keep my promises. Dante's gray eyes burned. And I promised your father I would protect you. Even if you hated me for it. The words hung in the air. Heavy. Final. My father would never ask you to do this. Isabella's voice cracked. He would never want me locked up like a prisoner. Your father knew what kind of world he lived in. Dante's voice softened. He knew the price of protection. And he paid it. By working for my family. By keeping our secrets. By sacrificing his own freedom so you could have a chance at a normal life. Tears burned Isabella's eyes. Then why take that away from me? If he sacrificed so much, why destroy the life he wanted me to have? Because that life was built on a lie. Dante stepped closer. And lies collapse, Isabella. Always. It was only a matter of time before Marcus's debts caught up with him. Before someone realized who your father was. Before you became a target. So you made me a prisoner instead. I made you mine. Dante's voice dropped. Intense. And I don't let what's mine get destroyed. The rest of the day passed in a blur. Rico left to coordinate the search for the charity donations. Dante disappeared into his office. Made calls. Gave orders. Orchestrated whatever dark business a cartel boss orchestrated. Isabella was left alone with Teresa. Who brought her meals? Who spoke in soft, careful words? Who treated her like a guest instead of a captive? It made everything worse. Why are you nice to me? Isabella finally asked over dinner. You work for him. You know what he did. What he is. Teresa set down her napkin. Because I know what he is. And I also know what he could have been. What does that mean? Dante Moreno was born into this world. Teresa's voice was quiet. He didn't choose it. His father was a brutal man. Cruel. He raised Dante to be the same. To value power over everything. Isabella listened. Despite herself. But Dante's mother. Teresa's expression softened. She was different. Kind. Gentle. She taught him that strength doesn't have to mean cruelty. That power can be used to protect instead of destroy. What happened to her? Isabella already knew the answer. Could see it in Teresa's eyes. She died when Dante was 16. Cancer. Fast and cruel. Teresa looked away. After that, Dante had a choice. Become his father. Or become something else. Something that could survive in this world but still honor his mother's memory. And what did he choose? Isabella's voice was barely a whisper. Teresa met her eyes. He chose survival. With pieces of both. That night, Isabella lay awake again. Teresa's words echoed in her head. Mixing with everything else. The wedding. Marcus's betrayal. Dante's cold gray eyes that sometimes held flashes of something warmer. She thought about her father. The man who'd worked 3 jobs. Who'd moved them constantly. Who'd been paranoid and secretive and scared. He was protecting me. All those years. He was protecting me from this. And now she was here anyway. in the world he'd tried so hard to keep her from. A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. Isabella froze. It was past midnight. No one should be. The door opened. Dante stood in the hallway. He wore sleep pants and a dark t-shirt. His hair was messy, like he'd been running his hands through it. "I can't sleep." He said it simply. "Can I come in?" "No." Isabella sat up. "Absolutely not." He came in anyway, closed the door behind him, but didn't approach, just stood there, 10 feet of space between them. "I need to tell you something." His voice was rough, tired, something I should have said earlier. "What could you possibly say that would make this better?" Isabella pulled the blanket up. "A useless shield. Your father's last words." Dante's jaw tightened. "Before he died, he called me, asked me to come to the hospital." Isabella's breath caught. "You were there? When he died?" "I was." Dante moved to the window, looked out at the dark gardens. "He made me promise, made me swear on my mother's grave, that I would find you, keep you safe, no matter what it cost. So this is about a promise." Isabella's voice was hollow. "You did all of this because my father asked you to?" "No." Dante turned back to face her. "I did it because when I finally found you, when I saw you working at that restaurant, smiling at customers, fighting to save money for a dream, I realized your father was right." "Right about what?" "That some things are worth protecting." Dante's expression was raw, vulnerable, even if the person you're protecting hates you for it. The sincerity in his voice made Isabella's throat tight. "I don't want to hate you." The admission slipped out. "I want to hate you. I should hate you. But it's complicated." Dante finished. "I know. Believe me, I know." Silence stretched between them. "Why did you come here tonight?" Isabella finally asked. "Really?" Dante's lips twitched. Almost a smile. "Because I wanted to see you. Make sure you're okay. Even though I'm the reason you're not." "That doesn't make sense." "Nothing about this makes sense." Dante moved toward the door. "Get some sleep, Angel. Tomorrow we start searching for those files. And when we find them, maybe." He stopped, didn't finish the sentence. "Maybe what?" Isabella whispered. "Maybe you'll understand why I did this." He opened the door. "Or maybe you'll hate me forever. Either way, you'll be alive." Then he was gone. 3 days passed in strange routine. Breakfast with Teresa, lunch alone, dinner in the dining room with Dante and Rico and sometimes other men whose names Isabella didn't learn. They talked business around her, spoke in code she didn't understand, treated her like furniture. Except Dante, who always made sure she had what she needed, who asked if the food was okay, who noticed when she was uncomfortable and dismissed everyone else. It was unsettling, the care mixed with control. On the 4th morning, Rico burst into the breakfast room. "We found them." Dante stood immediately. "The files?" 3 boxes. St. Catherine's Charity Warehouse. "They've been there for 2 years. No one's touched them. Get a team." Dante was already moving. "I want those boxes here in an hour." "Already done." Rico grinned. "They're in your office now." Dante's eyes found Isabella. "Come with me." It wasn't a request. Isabella followed him through the mansion, down hallways she hadn't seen, past rooms with closed doors, until they reached a large office. Dark wood, leather furniture, walls lined with books. 3 cardboard boxes sat in the middle of the floor. Isabella's chest tightened. She recognized them, recognized her own handwriting on the sides. Labels she'd scrawled 2 years ago when she was packing up her father's apartment. Trying not to cry. "Is this everything you donated?" Dante knelt beside the boxes. "Yes." Isabella's voice was small. "That's all there was." Rico handed Dante a knife. He cut through the tape, opened the first box. Papers spilled out. Tax returns, receipts, bank statements. Exactly what Isabella had said. Boring, mundane, nothing special. Dante went through each page methodically, checked both sides, held them up to the light, looked for anything unusual. Nothing. He opened the second box. More of the same. Hours of careful examination, page by page, document by document. Still nothing. By the third box, Rico was losing patience. "Maybe it's not here. Maybe the old man hid it somewhere else." "No." Dante's voice was certain. Antonio Cruz was too smart. He wouldn't have risked it being lost. He hid it here, somewhere we're not seeing. He pulled out a large manila envelope, opened it. Photographs spilled across the floor. Isabella gasped. "Those are mine. I didn't mean to donate those. I was looking for them for." She stopped, stared at the photos scattered across the expensive rug. Family pictures, her as a child, Her parents' wedding, holidays and birthdays, her father's smile in every frame. Dante picked up one photo. Her parents on their wedding day. Young and happy and unaware of what was coming. He turned it over. Writing covered the back. Not her father's handwriting. Someone else's. Small and precise. Numbers. Coordinates. A date. Dante went very still. Rico, get me a map of Colombia. Now. Rico left at a run. Dante picked up another photo. Turned it over. More writing. More coordinates. He hid it in plain sight. Dante's voice held something like admiration. Every photo. Every memory. He turned them into a map. Isabella sank to her knees. Picked up a photo of herself at age 6. Her father pushing her on a swing. His face full of love. She turned it over. More numbers. More locations. He ruined them. Tears slipped down her cheeks. These are the only photos I have left. And he turned them into evidence. Dante's hand found her shoulder. Gentle. He turned them into protection. For you. I don't want protection. Isabella's voice broke. I want my life back. I want my father back. I want. She couldn't finish. The words dissolved into sobs. For a moment, Dante didn't move. Then slowly, carefully, he pulled her against his chest. Let her cry into his shirt. Held her while she broke apart. I know. His voice was rough. I know, Angel. And I'm sorry. Rico returned with maps. Digital and paper. They spread them across Dante's desk. Isabella watched from the leather couch. Numb. Empty. The photos lay scattered around her. Each one a memory contaminated by secrets. Here, Dante marked a location. And here, this one corresponds to a warehouse in Medellin. This one to a property in Cartagena. That's Salazar territory. Rico's voice was grim. And this one, that's where the Reyes family operates. Your father didn't just keep records on our family. Dante looked at Isabella. He kept them on everyone he worked with. Every organization. Every route. Every name. He was building a case. Rico realized. Evidence that could take down everyone. Or keep everyone in check. Dante corrected. Mutually assured destruction. If anyone moved against him, the information would be released. And everyone would fall. But then he died. Isabella's voice was hollow. And the information became a weapon instead of a shield. Exactly. Dante turned back to the photos. We need to retrieve everything before. His phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen. His expression darkened. What? Rico moved closer. Someone else is looking. Dante showed him the phone. 3 of these locations have been hit in the last 24 hours. The Salazar family? Or the Reyes? Or both? Dante grabbed his jacket. We're out of time. I need to move now. What about her? Rico nodded toward Isabella. Dante's gray eyes found hers. She stays here. Guarded. If anyone comes for her, they won't get through. Rico's voice was certain. I'll make sure of it. Dante moved toward Isabella. Crouched down in front of her. I have to leave. For a few days. Maybe longer. But you'll be safe here. Rico and Teresa will take care of you. You're leaving me. Isabella's voice was flat. After everything. After forcing me here. You're just leaving. I'm protecting what's yours. Dante's hand cupped her face. Gentle. These photos. Your father's legacy. I'm making sure they don't fall into the wrong hands. They're already in the wrong hands. Isabella met his eyes. They're in yours. Something flashed across Dante's expression. Hurt maybe. Or regret. Perhaps. He stood. But at least you know I'll keep my promises. Then he was gone. Taking Rico and half the guards with him. Leaving Isabella alone in the mansion with Teresa and strangers. The first night without Dante was the hardest. Isabella paced her room. Tried the windows again. Tried the door. Everything was still locked. Still guarded. But something had shifted. The oppressive weight of his presence was gone. And in its place was something worse. Uncertainty. She hated that she missed him. Hated that the mansion felt emptier without his controlled authority. Hated that she'd gotten used to seeing him at meals. Arguing with him. Watching him work through her father's secrets. When did I stop being terrified and start being curious? Teresa brought dinner. Set it on the small table by the window. He'll be back in 3 days. Teresa said quietly. 4 at most. I don't care if he comes back. Isabella didn't touch the food. I don't care about him at all. Teresa's lips twitched. Of course not. What's that supposed to mean? It means. Teresa sat down across from her. That you've stopped trying to escape. Stopped screaming when someone enters your room. Started asking questions instead of making demands. Because I'm tired. Isabella's voice was defensive. Not because I Because you're starting to understand. Teresa's expression was knowing. That Dante Moreno isn't the monster you thought he was. He's something more complicated. He's a criminal. Isabella forced the words out. A kidnapper. A cartel boss who thinks he owns people. Yes. Teresa didn't argue. But he's also the man who spent 3 years looking for you. Who paid off your fiancé's debts instead of killing him? Who gives you a room with a lock on the inside even though it makes him vulnerable? Isabella blinked. What? The lock? Teresa gestured toward the bedroom door. On the inside. You can lock it. Keep everyone out. Including him. That's unusual in this house. Unprecedented, actually. Why would he do that? The question slipped out before Isabella could stop it. Because he wants you to feel safe. Teresa stood. Even if it means you're safe from him. She left before Isabella could respond. Isabella sat alone with her thoughts. And her untouched dinner. And the uncomfortable realization that Teresa might be right. Dante was gone for 6 days. Isabella counted each one. Hated that she counted them. Hated that by the 6th day, she was watching the driveway. Waiting for the SUVs to return. When they finally did, it was late afternoon. She saw them from her window. 3 black vehicles. Pulling up to the entrance. Men emerged. Dante was last. He looked tired. His shirt was wrinkled. His jaw dark with stubble. But he was whole. Uninjured. Relief flooded through her. Sharp and unwelcome. Why do I care? Why does it matter if he's safe? But she knew why. And that terrified her more than anything. Teresa knocked an hour later. Mr. Moreno requests your presence at dinner. Tell him I'm not hungry. He said you'd say that. Teresa smiled. He also said to tell you he brought something you'd want to see. I don't want anything from him. It's about your father. Teresa's expression grew serious. He found something, Isabella. Something important. Isabella's resistance crumbled. Fine. I'll come. She changed quickly. Black dress. Simple. Nothing special. But when she looked in the mirror, she saw someone different. Someone who'd been living in luxury for over a week. Who'd been eating well. Sleeping in silk. Wearing expensive clothes. Someone who was starting to look like she belonged here. The thought made her sick. Dante waited in the dining room. He'd cleaned up. Wore a fresh suit. Dark blue. His hair was still damp from the shower. He stood when she entered. Isabella. His voice was warm. Almost gentle. Sit, please. She sat. Kept her eyes on the table. What did you find? Direct as always. A hint of amusement colored his tone. I found 3 safe deposit boxes. 1 in Medellin. 1 in Cartagena. 1 in Bogotá. Your father's handwriting led me to all of them. And? Isabella forced herself to look at him. Were the records there? Better. Dante reached into his jacket. Pulled out an envelope. Set it on the table between them. Letters. From your father. To you. Isabella's hand trembled as she reached for the envelope. Letters? 17 of them. Dante's expression was unreadable. Dated over the last 3 years of his life. He never sent them. Just kept them. Waiting for the right moment. Isabella opened the envelope. Her father's handwriting covered the first page. Familiar and painful. She started reading. My dearest Isabella, if you're reading this, then I'm gone. And you've found yourself in the world I tried so hard to keep you from. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know you must have questions. Why I left. Why I was always distant. Why I could never be the father you deserved. The truth is, I made choices. Bad ones. I got involved with dangerous people to save your mother. To pay for her treatments. To give her a chance. And once you're in that world, there's no getting out. But I found a way to protect you. Information. Evidence. I kept meticulous records of everything. Every transaction. Every name. Every secret. Not to blackmail. But to ensure that if anyone ever came after my family, I could take them all down with me. I hid this information in places only you would look. In our memories. In our history. In the photos we took together. Because I knew you were the only one I could trust with the truth. The letter continued. Page after page. Her father's confessions. His regrets. His love. By the end, Isabella was crying. Silent tears that dripped onto the paper. Smudging the ink. Dante didn't speak. Didn't move. Just let her grieve. He loved me. Isabella's voice was broken. He did everything to protect me. And I thought he was just a coward who ran away. He was brave. Dante said quietly. In the only way he knew how. Isabella looked up at him. Did you know him? Really know him? Yes. Dante's expression softened. He was a good man in an impossible situation. And he loved you more than anything. Is that why you're doing this? Isabella wiped her eyes. Why you kidnapped me? Because you respected him? No. Dante leaned forward. I'm doing this because I made him a promise. And because. He stopped, looked away. Because what? Isabella pressed. Because I want to. The admission was quiet, raw. I want you here, Isabella. Not because of a promise. Not because of the records. But because when I look at you, I see something I thought I'd lost a long time ago. What's that? Her voice was barely a whisper. Hope. Dante's gray eyes met hers. That not everything in this world has to be bought or sold or destroyed. That some things can still be protected, cherished, kept safe. The air between them crackled with something Isabella couldn't name. Something dangerous and magnetic and completely inappropriate given the circumstances. She should be angry, should be plotting escape, should be doing anything except sitting here, feeling her heart race because a criminal looked at her with soft eyes. I should go. Isabella stood abruptly. Thank you for the letters. For finding them, but I need to be alone. She left before he could respond. Practically ran back to her room. Locked the door. Pressed her back against it. What is happening to me? Why can't I hate him the way I should? She had no answer. Only the uncomfortable truth that everything was changing. And she didn't know how to stop it. That night, Isabella read all 17 letters. Cover to cover. Some multiple times. Her father's words. His apologies. His explanations. He'd known Dante since Dante was a teenager. Had watched him grow up in a world of violence. Had seen glimpses of the man his mother had hoped he'd become. Dante Moreno is dangerous, one letter read. But he's also honorable in his own way. If something happens to me, trust him. He'll keep his word. Trust him. The words echoed in Isabella's head, making her question everything. Her anger, her fear, her determination to escape. Another knock at the door. Late, past midnight. Who is it? Isabella called. Rico. The voice was familiar. I need to talk to you. It's important. Isabella unlocked the door. Rico stood in the hallway. His expression was serious, concerned. What's wrong? Isabella asked. There's been a complication. Rico stepped inside, closed the door behind him. Someone knows you're here. They've been asking questions, watching the estate. Isabella's blood went cold. Who? We're not sure yet. Rico's jaw tightened. But Dante wants you moved. Somewhere more secure. Just until we know what we're dealing with. When? Tomorrow. First thing. Rico's expression softened. I know this is hard. I know you didn't ask for any of this. But we're trying to keep you alive, Isabella. That's all. I know. The admission surprised her. I understand that now. Rico looked relieved. Good. Because what's coming? It's going to get worse before it gets better. He left. Isabella locked the door again. Her hands shaking. What's coming? She had a feeling she was about to find out. Morning came too fast. Isabella packed the few things that felt like hers. The letters from her father. A sweater Teresa had given her. The photo of her parents on their wedding day. Everything else. The expensive clothes. The jewelry Dante had provided. She left it all. Dante waited downstairs. He wore tactical gear. Black pants. Bulletproof vest. Gun at his hip. He looked like exactly what he was. A soldier in a war she didn't understand. Ready? His eyes swept over her simple outfit. The small bag. That's all you're taking? It's all that's mine. Isabella's voice was steady. Everything else belongs to you. Something flickered in his expression. Everything here is yours, Isabella. I gave it to you. You can't give someone things they never asked for and call it a gift. She moved past him. That's just control with a bow on it. Dante's jaw tightened, but he didn't argue. They drove for hours. Through countryside Isabella didn't recognize. Past villages with names she'd never heard. Until they reached a compound even more isolated than the mansion. This place was different. Functional. No gardens. No fountains. Just walls and guards and the sense of being completely cut off from the world. What is this place? Isabella asked as they pulled through security gates. A safe house. Dante helped her out of the SUV. No one knows about it except my inner circle. You'll be secure here. For how long? She followed him inside. The interior was sparse, clean but cold, nothing like the warmth of the mansion. Until I eliminate the threat. Dante's voice was flat, final, however long that takes. Isabella's stomach dropped. Eliminate? You mean kill. I mean whatever is necessary. He turned to face her. This is my world, Isabella. This is what I do. I remove threats before they can hurt what's mine. I'm not yours. The protest was automatic, but weaker than before. You are. Dante stepped closer. You've been mine since the moment I made that promise to your father. Since the moment I decided you were worth saving. Whether you accept it or not. I don't want to be saved by someone who kills people. Isabella's voice shook. I don't want to owe my life to violence. Then you don't understand the world you're in. Dante's gray eyes were hard. In this world, violence is currency. Power is survival. And the only way to keep someone safe is to be willing to destroy anyone who threatens them. That's not, Isabella started. That's not what. He cut her off. That's not right? That's not fair? You're right. It's neither. But it's real. And reality doesn't care about what you want it to be. The truth of his words settled over her like a weight. She was in a world where her father had kept secrets that could start wars. Where criminal organizations fought over territory and power. Where people disappeared and no one asked questions. A world where Dante Moreno was one of the most powerful players. And he decided she was worth protecting. I'm scared. The admission slipped out. Quiet. Honest. I don't know how to live in this world. Dante's expression softened. You don't have to know. That's why I'm here. To keep you safe while you figure it out. And what if I never figure it out? Isabella whispered. What if I can't accept this? Can't accept you? Then I'll still keep you safe. Dante's hand lifted, cupped her face with surprising gentleness. Because that's what I do. That's who I am, with or without your acceptance. His thumb brushed her cheek. The touch was electric. Isabella's breath caught. This is wrong. This is so wrong. He's a criminal. A kidnapper. I shouldn't feel anything except fear. But fear wasn't what she felt. Not anymore. You should rest. Dante dropped his hand, stepped back. We'll talk more tomorrow. When things are calmer. He left before she could respond. Left her alone in the sparse room with her thoughts. Her confusion. Her growing realization that she was in serious trouble. The kind that had nothing to do with cartels or records or threats. The kind that came from falling for exactly the wrong person. The safe house was suffocating. No windows. No view. Just concrete walls and artificial light. Isabella felt like she was in a bunker. Waiting for a war that hadn't started yet. Teresa had come with them. She made meals. Checked on Isabella. Provided the only warmth in the cold space. How long have you worked for Dante? Isabella asked over breakfast. Teresa paused. 15 years. Since he was 23 and just taking over the family. What was he like then? Isabella couldn't help the curiosity. Before all of this? Lost. Teresa's expression was distant. His father had just died. He inherited an empire he didn't want. But his mother had died years before. And she'd made him promise to be better than his father. To use power for protection instead of destruction. Did he keep that promise? Isabella picked at her food. He tried. Teresa met her eyes. But this world doesn't reward goodness. It rewards strength. And Dante learned to be strong. Maybe too strong. What changed him? Nothing changed him. Teresa's voice was gentle. He just learned to hide the parts of himself that were vulnerable. The parts his mother had nurtured. He buried them under layers of control and power. Until they were almost invisible. Almost? Isabella caught the word. Almost. Teresa smiled slightly. But then you came along. And I've watched those buried parts start to surface again. It's been interesting. The admission made Isabella's chest tight. I'm not special. I'm just. You're his mother's favorite story. Teresa interrupted. The girl worth saving. The innocent in a dark world. She used to tell him about people like you. Said they were the reason to fight. The reason to protect. The reason to be better. Isabella didn't know what to say. The weight of those words pressed down on her. He sees his mother when he looks at you. Teresa stood. Gathered the dishes. And he's trying to save her. Even though she's gone. By saving you. She left. Taking the dishes. Leaving Isabella with thoughts that spiraled in uncomfortable directions. I'm not a replacement for anyone. I'm not a symbol or a story or a promise. But maybe to Dante, she was all of those things. And more. 3 days in the safe house felt like 3 weeks. Isabella was going stir-crazy. Pacing. Reading the same magazines over and over. Counting ceiling tiles. When Dante finally came to check on her, she nearly attacked him with questions. What's happening? Have you found who's watching? When can I leave? Slow down. Dante held up his hands. One question at a time. Start with the first one. Isabella crossed her arms. What's happening out there? Dante's expression grew serious. The Salazar family has been making moves. They know your father kept records. They want them. And they know you're the key to finding them. How do they know that? Isabella's pulse spiked. I haven't talked to anyone. Haven't left your property. Because Marcus told them. Dante's voice was flat. Before he disappeared. Isabella's stomach dropped. Disappeared? 3 days ago. He took the money I paid him and ran. But not before he sold information about you to the highest bidder. Dante's jaw tightened. He told them everything. About your father. About the photos. About you being with me. Betrayed. Again. The hurt was almost funny. Marcus had sold her twice. Once to Dante. Once to his enemies. So what now? Isabella's voice was hollow. They come for me? Try to take me? They already tried. Dante's admission made the room spin. 2 days ago. While you were here. They hit the mansion. Thought you were still there. What happened? Isabella whispered. My men handled it. Dante's expression was cold. The Salazar family lost 7 soldiers. We lost none. The message was clear. You're protected. 7 men. Dead. Because of her. I didn't ask for this. Isabella's voice shook. I didn't ask for people to die protecting me. No. Dante moved closer. But your father did. He asked me to keep you safe. No matter the cost. And I honor my promises. Even if it means starting a war? Even then. Dante's gray eyes held hers. You're worth more than peace, Isabella. You're worth fighting for. The words should have terrified her. Should have made her run. Scream. Do anything except stand there. Feeling her heart race for all the wrong reasons. Why? She whispered. Why am I worth so much to you? Dante's hand lifted, cupped her face. Because when I look at you, I see a future that isn't just blood and violence. I see possibility. Hope. Something worth protecting in a world that destroys everything beautiful. I'm not beautiful. Isabella's protest was weak. You are. His thumb brushed her cheek. In every way that matters. And I won't let anyone take that away. The tension between them was unbearable. Electric. Isabella's breath came in short bursts. Her skin felt too hot. Too sensitive. She should step back. Put distance between them. This was wrong. So wrong. But she didn't move. Couldn't move. Dante. His name was barely a whisper on her lips. I know. His voice was rough. I know this is complicated. I know you have every reason to hate me. But. She kissed him. It was impulse. Madness. A moment of complete loss of control. Her lips found his before she could talk herself out of it. For a heartbeat, Dante froze. Then he kissed her back. Deep. Consuming. Like he'd been waiting for this moment since he'd first seen her in that bridal suite. His arm wrapped around her waist. Pulled her against him. Isabella's hands fisted in his shirt. The tactical vest was rough under her fingers. But his mouth was gentle. Coaxing. Making her feel things she'd never felt with Marcus. With anyone. When they finally broke apart, Isabella was shaking. I shouldn't have done that. Probably not. Dante's voice was hoarse. His gray eyes dark with hunger. But I'm glad you did. This doesn't change anything. Isabella stepped back. Put space between them. You still kidnapped me. You're still a criminal. I still don't belong here. You belong wherever you choose to be. Dante's expression was intense. And right now, you chose to be here. In this moment. With me. It was a mistake. Isabella wrapped her arms around herself. A moment of weakness. It won't happen again. If that's what you need to tell yourself. Dante moved toward the door. But we both know the truth. You're starting to see me differently. And that terrifies you more than anything I've done. He was right. And that made it worse. After that kiss, everything changed. The air between them was different. Charged. Isabella couldn't look at Dante without remembering how his mouth had felt on hers. How her body had responded. How much she'd wanted more. It was wrong. It was insane. It was inevitable. Because despite everything, despite the kidnapping and the lies and the violence, she was falling for him. And she had no idea how to stop it. Days blurred together. The threat level decreased. The Salazar family had retreated. Licking their wounds. Planning their next move. Dante spent more time with her. Talking. Sharing stories about her father. About his mother. About the world they both inhabited. My mother used to say. Dante's voice was quiet. They sat in the small common area. Tea cooling between them. That every person has a choice. To be defined by their circumstances. Or to define themselves despite them. Which did you choose? Isabella asked. Both. Dante's smile was sad. I let my circumstances make me strong. Hard. Dangerous. But I also chose to use that strength for something other than destruction. To protect. To provide. To honor the promises I made. Like the promise to my father. Yes. Dante's eyes met hers, but also the promise to myself. To be better than what this world expects. You killed 7 men. Isabella's voice was soft. 2 weeks ago. Because of me. I protected you. Dante corrected. There's a difference. Those men came to hurt you. To take you. To use you as leverage. I removed the threat. By ending their lives. Yes. Dante didn't flinch. And I would do it again. 1,000 times over. Because your life is worth more to me than theirs. The brutal honesty should have repulsed her. Should have reminded her who he was. What he was capable of. Instead, it made her feel safe. Protected. Valued in a way she'd never experienced. This is so messed up. Isabella laughed. It sounded slightly hysterical. I'm falling for a cartel boss who kidnapped me from my wedding. My therapist would have a field day with this. Dante's expression shifted. Surprise. Then something warmer. You're falling for me? Isabella froze. Realized what she'd said. I didn't mean. Don't take it back. Dante moved closer. If it's true. If any part of it is true. Don't take it back. It doesn't matter if it's true. Isabella stood. Paced. We can't do this. I can't do this. I'm what? Dante stood too. A criminal? A kidnapper? Someone who operates outside the law. I know what I am, Isabella. But I also know what I feel. And I feel more for you than I've felt for anyone in 15 years. The confession hung between them. Raw, honest, terrifying. I was supposed to marry Marcus. Isabella's voice cracked. 2 weeks ago. I was supposed to be on my honeymoon. Starting a life with someone I thought loved me. He didn't love you. Dante's voice was gentle. He used you. Sold you. I took you from that. Saved you from a life built on lies. By forcing me into a different kind of lie. Isabella's eyes burned. One where I'm supposed to accept that being kidnapped is protection. That violence is love. That I should be grateful for a cage just because it's gilded. Is that what you think this is? Dante's expression darkened. A cage? What else would you call it? Isabella gestured around them. I can't leave. Can't make my own choices. Can't even decide if I want to stay or go. You decided for me. All of it. I decided to keep you alive. Dante's voice rose. Actually rose. The first time she'd heard him lose control. I decided that your life was worth more than your freedom. That living in a cage was better than dying in the open. And I'd make that choice again. Every single time. That's not your choice to make. Isabella shouted back. It's my life. My choice. You don't get to decide what I'm worth or what I should accept. Your father gave me that right. Dante's hands clenched. He made me promise. Made me swear on my mother's grave. And I honor my promises, Isabella. Even when they're hard. Even when they cost me everything. What has this cost you? Isabella's laugh was sharp. You're still rich. Still powerful. Still in control. I'm the one who lost everything. You think this costs me nothing? Dante's voice dropped. Dangerous. You think I wanted this? To take you against your will? To watch you struggle with fear and anger? To know that every time you look at me, you see someone who destroyed your life? He moved closer. Close enough that Isabella had to tilt her head back to maintain eye contact. It costs me everything. His voice was barely a whisper. Because I'm in love with someone who will never forgive me for saving her. The words stole her breath. You're not in love with me. Isabella's protest was weak. You can't be. You don't even know me. I know you better than anyone. Dante's hand lifted, cupped her face. I've watched you for 3 years. Learned your routines, your dreams, the way you smile at children. The way you save pennies for a restaurant you might never open. The way you visit your parents' graves and talk to them like they can hear you. Tears spilled down Isabella's cheeks. That's not love. That's obsession. Maybe. Dante's thumb caught her tears. But it's also truth. And the truth is, I love you, Isabella Cruz. I love you in ways that terrify me. In ways I never thought I was capable of. And I will spend the rest of my life trying to earn something I know I don't deserve. What's that? Isabella whispered. Your forgiveness. Dante's gray eyes held hers. And maybe, if I'm very lucky, your love. Isabella didn't know how to respond. Didn't know what to feel. Everything was too much. Too intense. Too complicated. So she did the only thing she could. She ran back to her room, locked the door, pressed her back against it and slid to the floor. He loves me. A cartel boss. A criminal. A man who's killed people. He loves me. The absurdity of it should have made her laugh. Instead, it made her cry. Great heaving sobs that shook her whole body. Because some traitorous part of her loved him back. The part that felt safe with him. That craved his protection. That wanted his touch. That part terrified her more than anything else. A soft knock interrupted her breakdown. Isabella? Teresa's voice. May I come in? Isabella unlocked the door. Teresa entered, took one look at her tear-stained face and sighed. He told you. It wasn't a question. How did you know? Isabella wiped her eyes. Because I know Dante. Teresa sat down beside her. And I know when he's reached his breaking point. He's been in love with you since he first saw you. Fighting it, denying it, but love doesn't care about logic. This isn't love. Isabella's voice was thick. Love doesn't kidnap people. Love doesn't force them into situations they can't escape. You're right. Teresa's voice was gentle, but desperation does. And fear. And the primal need to protect something precious. I'm not precious to him. Isabella shook her head. I'm a promise. A duty. Something he feels obligated to protect. No. Teresa took her hand. You're so much more than that. You're the first person in 15 years who's made him feel human again. Who's reminded him that there's more to life than power and violence. You've woken up parts of him that have been dead since his mother died. That's not fair. Isabella's voice cracked. I didn't ask to be that for him. I don't want that responsibility. I know. Teresa squeezed her hand. But sometimes we don't get to choose our role in someone else's story. Sometimes we just have to decide if we're going to embrace it or run from it. I want to run, Isabella admitted. Every instinct I have says to get away from him. From this world. From everything he represents. But, Teresa prompted, but I can't stop thinking about him. The confession poured out. About the way he looks at me. Like I'm something valuable. Something worth protecting. Marcus never looked at me like that. No one ever has. Because Dante sees your worth. Teresa's voice was firm. Not your beauty. Not your body. Your worth. The kind that comes from inside. From who you are. Not what you can provide. How do you know? Isabella looked at her. How do you know he's not just using me? Playing some long game I don't understand? Because I've watched him. Teresa's expression was certain. I've seen him with other women. With people he uses. With enemies and allies and everyone in between. And I've never seen him look at anyone the way he looks at you. How does he look at me? The question was barely a whisper. Like your air. Teresa's smile was sad. Like if you disappeared, he'd suffocate. Like you're the only thing keeping him human in a world that rewards monsters. The words settled into Isabella's chest. Heavy. Undeniable. I don't know what to do. Isabella's voice broke. I don't know how to feel. Everything is so confused. Then don't decide yet. Teresa stood. Offered a hand. Give yourself time. Let yourself feel. And when you're ready, you'll know what's right. Isabella took her hand. Let Teresa pull her up. What if I'm never ready? Then you're not ready. Teresa's voice was gentle. And Dante will wait. Because that's what you do when you love someone. You wait. Even if it takes forever. 2 more days passed. Isabella avoided Dante. Took her meals in her room. Stayed locked away with her thoughts. Her confusion. Her growing certainty that she was losing a battle she'd never wanted to fight. On the 3rd morning, Teresa knocked with urgency. We're moving again. Her voice was tense. Pack quickly. Just essentials. What happened? Isabella's pulse spiked. The Salazar family made a move. Teresa threw clothes into a bag. They hit one of our warehouses. Killed 3 guards. Left a message that they're coming for you. Fear clawed at Isabella's throat. When? We don't know. Teresa zipped the bag. But Dante isn't taking chances. He's moving you to the estate in the mountains. His most secure location. The one even his enemies don't know about. They were in a car within 10 minutes. Dante drove. Rico in the passenger seat. 2 more SUVs flanked them. Creating a protective convoy. Isabella watched the landscape blur past. Each mile taking her further from civilization. Deeper into territory she didn't recognize. Where exactly are we going? She finally asked. Somewhere they'll never find you. Dante's eyes met hers in the rearview mirror. I promise. Your promises are what got me into this. Isabella's voice was sharper than she intended. Dante's jaw tightened, but he didn't argue. Just drove. Fast. Focused. After 3 hours, they turned onto a dirt road. It wound up a mountain. Steep and narrow. No guardrails. Just empty air on one side and rock on the other. Finally, they reached a gate. This one was different. Older. Made of iron and wood. More medieval fortress than modern security. The gate opened. They drove through. The estate was breathtaking. Perched on the mountain like an eagle's nest. All stone and timber. Windows that overlooked valleys for miles in every direction. Gardens terraced into the slope. A waterfall cascading down the rocks. "This is yours?" Isabella breathed. "It was my mother's." Dante's voice was quiet. "She loved the mountains. Said they made her feel close to God. My father built this for her. Before he forgot how to love anything." The grief in his voice made Isabella's chest ache. They went inside. The interior was warm, cozy despite the size. Wooden beams and stone fireplaces. Furniture that looked lived in. Personal. "No one comes here," Dante said. "This is private, sacred. Only people I trust absolutely know it exists. Why bring me here?" Isabella turned to face him. "Why not just another safe house?" "Because I'm done hiding you." Dante's gray eyes were intense. "I'm done treating you like a prisoner. Like someone who needs to be locked away. You want truth? Here's truth. This is my home, my real home, and I'm asking you to share it with me." "Asking?" Isabella's voice was carefully neutral. "Not telling? Asking." Dante stepped closer. "If you say no, if you want to leave, I'll arrange it. I'll make sure you're safe. Set up a new life somewhere far from here. And I'll let you go." Isabella's breath caught. "You're serious?" "Completely." Dante's expression was raw. "I love you, Isabella. But I'm done forcing you to accept that. So I'm giving you a choice. Stay here with me. Try to build something real. Or go. And I'll honor that decision. Even if it destroys me." The silence stretched between them, heavy with possibility. "I need time," Isabella finally said. "To think. To process. This is all. I know." Dante's voice was gentle. "Take all the time you need. I'll be here, waiting, for as long as it takes." The mountain estate was different from the mansion. Different from the safe house. Here, Isabella had freedom. She could wander the gardens. Explore the terraced slopes. Sit by the waterfall and think. Guards were present but distant. Watching without hovering. Protecting without imprisoning. It felt like breathing after being underwater. Teresa had come too. She set up in a guest house near the main building. Gave Isabella space but remained available. A steady presence in the chaos. Dante kept his distance. He ate breakfast early. Before Isabella woke. Spent days in his office. Handling whatever dark business required his attention. Only appeared at dinner, where he was polite, respectful, careful not to crowd her. It was maddening. The restraint. The way he looked at her with hunger but didn't act on it. The way he'd given her freedom but clearly wanted her to choose captivity. On the fourth day, Isabella found herself in his mother's garden. Teresa had shown her, said it was Dante's favorite place. She understood why. Roses bloomed in careful rows. Herbs grew in raised beds. A small fountain bubbled in the center. Everything was tended with obvious love. She planted these herself. Dante's voice came from behind her. Isabella didn't turn. "Your mother?" "Yes." He moved closer. Not too close. "Every rose, every herb." She said gardens were proof that beautiful things could grow in harsh places. That with enough care, anything could thrive. "Even criminals?" Isabella's voice held an edge. "Even criminals." Dante's smile was sad. She believed everyone deserved a chance to grow. To change. To become something better than what they were born into. Isabella finally looked at him. Really looked. He wore simple clothes. Jeans. A black sweater. His hair was slightly messy. Like he'd been running his hands through it. Dark circles shadowed his eyes. Like he wasn't sleeping. "When did you stop sleeping?" she asked before she could stop herself. Dante's expression flickered with surprise. "How did you know?" "I see it in your eyes." Isabella moved closer. "You look exhausted." "I am." He didn't deny it. "But I can't sleep. Not when I know you're here. Close but not close enough. Safe but not happy. Free but not free. That's not my fault." Isabella's voice was gentle. "You put us in this situation." "I know." Dante's gray eyes held hers. "And I'd do it again. But that doesn't mean I don't regret the cost." "What cost?" Isabella whispered. "Your trust." Dante's voice was rough. "Your affection. The chance to know you without all this between us. I'd give anything to go back. To meet you differently. To court you properly. To earn your love instead of forcing proximity and calling it protection." The honesty in his words made Isabella's chest tight. "You can't change the past." "No." Dante stepped closer. Close enough that she had to tilt her head back. "But maybe I can change the future. If you'll let me." "How?" The question came out breathless. "By giving you everything you want." Dante's hand lifted, traced her jawline with heartbreaking gentleness. "Your restaurant. Your freedom, your dreams, all of it, no strings, no conditions, just my promise that I'll support whatever you choose. Even if I choose to leave? Isabella's voice shook. Even then, Dante's thumb brushed her lower lip. But I hope you won't. Why? Isabella couldn't think, couldn't breathe. Why do you hope that? Because I love you. Dante's voice dropped to a whisper. Because you make me want to be better. Because when I look at you, I see a future that isn't just blood and violence. I see home. Isabella's eyes burned. You can't just say things like that. Why not? Dante's smile was sad. They're true. Because. Isabella's voice broke. Because I'm starting to feel the same way. And it terrifies me. Dante went very still. You feel the same way? I don't want to. Isabella's tears spilled over. I want to hate you. I want to blame you for everything. I want to believe you're just a criminal who destroyed my life. But, Dante's hand cupped her face. Tender, reverent, but I can't. Isabella sobbed. Because despite everything, despite all of it, I think I'm falling in love with you too. Dante's expression cracked, raw emotion flooding through. He pulled her against his chest, held her while she cried, stroked her hair with shaking hands. I'm sorry, he murmured against her hair. I'm so sorry for all of it. For the pain, for the fear, for everything I took from you. Don't apologize. Isabella pulled back, looked up at him with tear-bright eyes. Don't apologize for keeping me alive, for protecting me, for loving me even when I couldn't love you back. Isabella. Her name was a prayer on his lips. She kissed him, deep, desperate, pouring 3 weeks of confusion and fear and grudging affection into the contact. Dante kissed her back with the hunger of a starving man. His arms wrapped around her waist, lifted her until her feet left the ground, held her like she was precious, breakable, the most valuable thing he'd ever touched. When they finally broke apart, both were shaking, breathing hard, looking at each other with new understanding. This doesn't fix everything. Isabella's voice was unsteady. We still had to deal with the Salazar family. With my father's records. With all the complicated mess that brought us together. I know. Dante set her down gently. But maybe we can face it together. Not as captor and captive. But as partners. Partners? Isabella tested the word. Is that what we are? If you'll have me. Dante's smile was tentative. Hopeful. I know I'm not what you dreamed of. I know this isn't the life you wanted. But maybe it's better. Isabella finished. Maybe being chosen by someone who sees your worth is better than choosing someone who doesn't. Marcus was a fool. Dante's voice was fierce. To have you and not value you. To see you as anything other than extraordinary. You're biased. Isabella's lips twitched. Absolutely. Dante pulled her close again. And I'll spend the rest of my life being biased in your favor. Isabella laughed. It felt good. Normal. Like maybe, just maybe, they could find a way through this. What happens now? She asked. With the Salazar family. With everything. Now. Dante's expression hardened. I end the threat. Permanently. And then I give you the life you deserve. The restaurant. The freedom. The future. All of it. And what do you get? Isabella looked up at him. What do you want from me? Just you. Dante's voice was simple. Honest. However you'll have me. For as long as you'll have me. That's not much of a bargain. Isabella smiled through fresh tears. You're getting the losing end of this deal. No. Dante's gray eyes burned. I'm getting everything. The next week passed in strange peace. Dante worked during the days. Made calls. Coordinated with Rico. Planned whatever dark strategy would end the threat from the Salazar family. But the evenings were theirs. They ate dinner together. Walked the gardens. Sat by the fire and talked about everything. Their pasts. Their fears. Their hopes. Isabella learned about Dante's childhood. The brutality of his father. The gentleness of his mother. The impossible choice between honor and survival. Dante learned about her dreams. The restaurant she wanted to open. The food she wanted to create. The life she'd imagined before Marcus had sold her. I'll make it happen, Dante said one night. The restaurant. Exactly as you envisioned it. Location, funding, everything. You can't just buy me a restaurant. Isabella protested. That's not how this works. Why not? Dante's smile was genuine. I have the resources. You have the talent. It's a good investment. It's not about investment. Isabella moved closer, tucked herself against his side. It's about earning it, making it mine through work and skill. Not having it handed to me. Then work for it. Dante's arm wrapped around her. I'll provide the space. You provide the vision. Build it from the ground up. Make it entirely yours. The offer was tempting. Too tempting. What if I fail? Isabella's voice was small. What if I'm not good enough? You are. Dante's certainty was absolute. I've tasted your food, watched you work. You're extraordinary. And you'll succeed because you care about it. Because it means something to you. You believe in me. The realization made Isabella's throat tight. More than anyone ever has. Always. Dante kissed her forehead. I believe in you when you don't believe in yourself. Rico appeared one morning with news. His expression was grim. We found Marcus. Isabella's stomach dropped. Where? Cartagena. Rico glanced at Dante. He's been hiding in a hotel. Using the money you paid him, boss. Living like a king while his debts pile up. Is he alone? Dante's voice was casual, but Isabella heard the edge beneath. For now. Rico nodded. But the Salazar family knows he's there. They're watching, waiting to see if he leads them to Isabella. Then we need to move first. Dante stood. Bring him in, quietly, before anyone else gets to him. What are you going to do to him? Isabella's question stopped both men. Dante looked at her. What do you want me to do to him? The question hung in the air. Isabella's mind raced. Marcus had betrayed her, sold her, used her savings, then told criminals where to find her. She should want revenge, should want him to suffer. I want to talk to him. Isabella stood. I want him to explain. To look me in the eye and tell me why he did it. Isabella, Dante started. Please. She moved closer. I need closure. I need to understand. And I can't do that if he's just gone. If he disappears and I never get answers. Dante's jaw tightened, but he nodded. Fine. Rico. Bring him here. Alive. Unharmed. But make it clear that if he tries to run, he won't make it to the border. Rico left to coordinate. Isabella stood in the sudden silence, wondering if she'd made the right choice. Are you sure about this? Dante asked quietly. Seeing him again. It might be harder than you think. I need to do this. Isabella's voice was firm. I need to close that chapter before I can fully move forward. Then I'll be with you. Dante pulled her close. Every moment. You won't face him alone. They brought Marcus to the estate 2 days later. He looked different, thinner. His expensive clothes couldn't hide the fear in his eyes. The way his hands shook. The obvious terror of being in Dante Moreno's territory. Isabella waited in Dante's office. Seated behind the massive desk. Dante stood beside her, one hand on her shoulder. A reminder that she wasn't alone. Rico pushed Marcus into a chair across from them. Then stood by the door. Silent, watchful. For a long moment, no one spoke. Isabella just looked at the man she'd almost married. The man she'd loved. The man who'd sold her. Hi, Bella. Marcus finally broke the silence. His voice was small. You look good. Don't. Isabella's voice was cold. Don't pretend we're friends. Don't act like you care about how I look. Marcus flinched. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I never wanted any of this to happen. But you made it happen. Isabella leaned forward. You took money to hand me over to Dante. Then you told his enemies where I was. You sold me twice, Marcus. So don't talk to me about what you wanted. I had debts. Marcus's voice cracked. They were going to kill me. I didn't have a choice. There's always a choice. Dante's voice was quiet. Dangerous. You chose money over her safety. You chose your life over hers. Don't pretend you're a victim. I loved her. Marcus shouted. I loved you, Bella. But I was drowning. And they offered me a way out. You didn't love me. Isabella's voice was steady. If you loved me, you would have told me the truth. Asked for help. Found another way. Love doesn't sell someone. It protects them. Like he protected you? Marcus gestured at Dante. By kidnapping you from our wedding? By forcing you to be with him? That's not protection. That's possession. You're right. Isabella's admission surprised everyone. It was possession. At first. But it was also the only thing that saved me from a life with you. A life built on lies and debt. Where I would have worked myself to death trying to save you while you kept making the same mistakes. That's not fair. Marcus's protest was weak. No. Isabella stood. What's not fair is you using my love against me. Using my savings, my dreams, my future, and then selling me when it suited you. That's what's not fair. Silence filled the office. I'm sorry. Marcus's voice broke. I'm so sorry, Bella. I was weak. I was stupid. I was. You were exactly who you were. Isabella's voice was cold, and I was too blind to see it. But I see it now. And I want you to know something. She moved around the desk. Stood directly in front of him. I forgive you. Marcus looked up, shocked. I forgive you, Isabella repeated, not because you deserve it, but because I deserve peace. I deserve to move forward without carrying the weight of your betrayal. So I'm letting it go. All of it. Bella, Marcus reached for her hand. She stepped back. But forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. It doesn't mean I want you in my life. It means I'm done letting you have power over me. Done letting what you did define my future. Isabella looked at Dante. I'm ready for him to go now. Dante nodded. Rico, take him to the border. Give him enough money for a fresh start. And make it very clear that if he ever comes near Isabella again, he won't survive. Wait, Marcus stood. You're just letting me go? After everything? I'm not letting you do anything. Dante's voice was flat. Isabella asked me to let you leave. So I'm honoring her wish. But understand this. If you ever speak her name again, if you ever think about coming back, if you even dream about contacting her, I will find you, and you will disappear. The threat was delivered with absolute calm. Absolute certainty. Marcus went pale. I understand. Good. Dante nodded to Rico. Get him out of my sight. Rico grabbed Marcus's arm, pulled him toward the door. Marcus looked back one last time. His expression was broken, regretful, lost. Then he was gone. Isabella stood in the center of the office, breathing hard, feeling lighter than she had in weeks. Are you okay? Dante moved to her side. Yes. Isabella turned to face him. I'm okay. Better than okay. I'm free. Dante pulled her into his arms, held her tight. You were always free, Angel. You just needed to believe it. With Marcus gone, Isabella felt like she could finally breathe. The past was truly behind her. The man who'd betrayed her was out of her life. And she could focus on building something new. Dante was true to his word. Within a week, he'd arranged for Isabella to visit potential restaurant locations in the city. Not just any locations. Prime real estate. Places that would attract customers and build reputation. This one. Isabella stopped in front of a corner building. All windows and exposed brick. The kind of space that was raw and honest. Perfect for what she wanted to create. It's yours, Dante said simply. I haven't even looked inside yet. Isabella protested. Doesn't matter. Dante's smile was genuine. I see the way you're looking at it. Like you've already imagined every table. Every menu item. Every moment. It's yours. Isabella wanted to argue. To insist on doing things properly. But the excitement bubbling in her chest wouldn't let her. Okay, she finally said. It's mine, but I'm paying you back. Every penny. Once the restaurant is profitable. We'll negotiate terms later. Dante opened the door. For now, let's see your future. The interior was even better. Open floor plan. Industrial kitchen visible from the dining area. Enough space for 30 tables. Maybe 40 if they used the back room. Isabella walked through slowly, touching surfaces, imagining possibilities. This could work. This could really work. What will you call it? Dante asked, watching her with obvious affection. Cruz, Isabella said without hesitation. For my father. For my mother. For the family that gave me everything. Even when they had nothing. Perfect. Dante's voice was warm. Antonio would have been proud. The words made Isabella's throat tight. Do you really think so? I know so. Dante pulled her close. He told me once that the only thing he wanted was for you to be happy. To have the life he couldn't give you. This, what you're building, it's exactly what he dreamed of. Isabella buried her face in Dante's chest. Let the emotions wash over her. Grief and hope and excitement all tangled together. Thank you, she whispered, for all of this, for believing in me, for making this possible. You made it possible. Dante's hand stroked her hair. I just provided the space. Everything else is you. The next month was a blur of activity. Isabella threw herself into building the restaurant. Hiring staff. Designing menus. Perfecting recipes. Every day was long. Exhausting. Perfect. Dante supported from the background. Provided funding. Made connections. But never took over. Never tried to control. He let it be hers. And Isabella fell more in love with him every day. The way he listened when she talked about food. The way he showed up at the restaurant late at night with coffee. The way he trusted her completely with his investment. The way he looked at her like she was the most important person in his world. I have something for you, Dante said one evening. They sat in his study. Fire crackling in the fireplace. The mountain air cool outside the windows. What? Isabella looked up from the menu she was designing. Dante handed her an envelope. Open it. Isabella did. Inside was a document. Legal. Official. She scanned the text, then read it again more slowly. This is, her voice caught. This is a deed. To the restaurant building. Yes. Dante's expression was calm. It's yours. Completely. No loan. No mortgage. No strings. Just yours. I can't accept this. Isabella tried to hand it back. It's too much. You already accepted it. Dante gently pushed her hand back. When you said yes to building the restaurant. When you said yes to staying. When you said yes to me. But, Isabella started. No buts. Dante's smile was soft. This is my gift to you. My way of saying I believe in you. That I trust you. That I want you to have something that's entirely yours. No matter what happens between us. What do you mean no matter what happens? Isabella's stomach tightened. Are you planning on leaving? No. Dante pulled her onto his lap. But I want you to know you always have a choice. If someday you decide you don't want this life, don't want me, you'll have the restaurant, you'll have security, you'll never be dependent on me or anyone else. Isabella's eyes burned. You're giving me freedom. I'm giving you options. Dante corrected. Real ones. Not the false choice of captivity versus death. But actual freedom to choose your path. And if my path includes you? Isabella whispered. Dante's gray eyes softened. Then I'm the luckiest man alive. Isabella kissed him. Slow. Deep. Pouring everything she felt into the contact. Gratitude and love and hope all mixed together. When they broke apart, Dante was smiling. Does this mean you're staying? For now. Isabella's smile was teasing. But I reserve the right to change my mind if you become annoying. Fair enough. Dante laughed. I'll do my best not to be annoying. Good luck with that. Isabella settled against his chest. You're kind of naturally irritating. Says the woman who threatened to poison me on our first day together. That was different. Isabella protested. I was justifiably angry. You were magnificent. Dante's voice was warm, fierce and brave and completely unwilling to be broken. I think I fell in love with you in that moment. Liar. Isabella accused. You fell in love with me before you even met me. You're just admitting it now. Maybe. Dante's hand stroked her back. But can you blame me? You're extraordinary. I'm ordinary. Isabella closed her eyes. Let herself relax completely. I'm just a woman who wanted a restaurant and got kidnapped by a cartel boss instead. Nothing ordinary about that. Dante's voice held laughter. That's the beginning of a legendary story. Or a terrible tragedy. Isabella countered. Not if we write the ending right. Dante's hand cupped her face. Made her look at him. Not if we choose love over fear. Partnership over possession. Freedom over control. You make it sound easy. Isabella's voice was quiet. But we still have threats out there. The Salazar family. My father's records. All the dangerous pieces that brought us together. I know. Dante's expression grew serious. And I'm handling it. Quietly. Carefully. So you can focus on your dreams instead of my wars. I don't want you handling it alone. Isabella sat up. If this is my life now. If I'm choosing you. Then I want to know what's happening. What dangers we're facing. I want to be a partner. Not someone you protect from the truth. Dante studied her for a long moment. You're sure? The truth isn't always comfortable. I'm sure. Isabella's voice was firm. I'm done being kept in the dark. Done being treated like I'm too fragile to handle reality. Tell me everything. Dante told her everything. About the Salazar family's movements. About the negotiations with other cartels. About the delicate balance of power he was maintaining to keep her safe. About the final piece of her father's puzzle. The location of the master records. Hidden in a bank vault in Panama City. We're going to retrieve them next week. Dante said. Rico and I a small team. In and out before anyone knows we were there. I'm coming with you. Isabella's statement left no room for argument. Absolutely not. Dante's voice was firm. Too dangerous. If something goes wrong, then I want to be there. Isabella interrupted. These are my father's records. My legacy. I deserve to see this through. Isabella. Dante tried again. No. She stood. Faced him with determination. You said we're partners. Partners don't leave each other behind when things get dangerous. They face it together. Dante's jaw tightened. This isn't a metaphor. This is real danger. People could die. I know. Isabella's voice didn't waver. But I'm not asking for your permission. I'm telling you. I'm going. Either with you or after you. But I'm going. The silence stretched. Dante's gray eyes searched her face. Looking for weakness. For doubt. He found none. Fine. He finally said. But you follow my orders. Every one. No questions. No hesitation. If I say run, you run. If I say hide, you hide. Understood? Understood. Isabella moved back to him. Thank you for trusting me. I trust you completely. Dante pulled her close. It's everyone else I don't trust. They flew to Panama City 3 days later. Private jet. Small team. Rico. 2 other men whose names Isabella didn't catch. Everyone armed. Everyone professional. The city was humid, crowded, full of tourists and business people and no one who looked twice at their group. The bank is on Avenida Balboa. Rico explained during the drive. High security. But we have clearance. Your father set up the box under a false name. Isabella's mother's maiden name. Isabella's chest tightened. He used my mother's name? He wanted you to be able to access it. Dante said quietly. If something happened to him. If you ever needed it. So this was always meant for me. Isabella realized. All of it. The photos. The coordinates. The vault. He was leaving me breadcrumbs. More like a treasure map. Rico's attempt at humor fell flat. Sorry. Bad timing. The bank was imposing. All glass and steel. Modern and cold. They entered through the main doors. Showed credentials. Were escorted to a private room deep in the vault area. Box 2847. The bank employee said, I'll leave you to your business. He left. The door closed with a solid thunk. Rico opened the box. Inside was a single USB drive. Small. Unremarkable. Containing enough information to destroy a dozen criminal organizations. That's it? Isabella stared at the tiny device. That's what all of this has been about. Information doesn't need to be large to be powerful. Dante picked up the drive carefully. This is leverage. Protection. A nuclear option that keeps everyone in check. What are you going to do with it? Isabella asked. Nothing. Dante's answer surprised her. I'm going to put it somewhere safe. Make sure everyone knows it exists. That if anything happens to me or you, it gets released. Mutually assured destruction. The only currency that matters in this world. So we're never really free. Isabella's voice was hollow. We'll always be living under this threat. We're alive. Dante corrected gently. And as long as we're alive, there's possibility. Hope. A future. Rico's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen. His expression changed. Darkened. Boss. We have a problem. What kind of problem? Dante's voice went cold. The Salazar family. They're here. In the building. They must have followed us. Isabella's heart stopped. How many? Too many. Rico was already moving. We need to go. Now. Dante grabbed Isabella's hand. Stay close to me. Don't let go. They moved fast. Through the vault corridors. Rico led. The 2 men flanked, creating a protective box around Isabella and Dante. Gunfire erupted. Loud and shocking. The sound echoed off the stone walls. Down. Dante pulled Isabella to the floor. His body covered hers, protecting her with his own. Rico returned fire. Professional. Controlled. Isabella couldn't see what he was shooting at. Couldn't see anything except Dante's chest. His heart beat wild under her ear. The emergency exit. Rico shouted. 30 meters. Go. They moved. Half running. Half crawling. Bullets whined past. Too close. Too real. Isabella's mind went blank. Pure survival instinct. Follow Dante. Don't let go. Keep moving. They burst through a door. Into an alley. Bright sunlight after the dim vault. Blinding. An SUV screeched to a stop. Door already open. Get in. The driver yelled. Dante pushed Isabella inside. Climbed in after her. Rico and the men piled in. The vehicle moved before the door was even closed. More gunfire. The back window shattered. Safety glass exploded inward. Isabella screamed. Couldn't help it. The sound tore out of her throat. Stay down. Dante pushed her to the floor. Covered her body with his again. Don't move. The SUV swerved. Tires screamed. Then they were moving fast. Away from the bank. Away from the danger. After what felt like hours but was probably minutes, the vehicle slowed. The gunfire stopped. We're clear, the driver said. Dante slowly sat up, helped Isabella up. Her hands were shaking. Her whole body was shaking. Are you hurt? Dante's hands ran over her. Checking for injuries. Did anything hit you? No. Isabella's voice was thin. No, I'm okay. Check everyone. Dante ordered. Rico did a quick assessment. Minor cuts from the glass. Nothing serious. Good. Dante pulled Isabella against his chest. Held her tight. It's over. You're safe. That was. Isabella couldn't finish. The words wouldn't come. I know. Dante's voice was rough. I'm sorry. I should never have let you come. No. Isabella pulled back, looked at him with fierce eyes. You were right to let me come. I needed to see this. To understand what your world really is. What our world is now. And? Dante searched her face. Do you still want this? Want me? After seeing what it really means. Isabella thought about it. Really thought about it. The danger. The violence. The constant threat. But also the way Dante had protected her without hesitation. The way Rico and his men had risked their lives. The loyalty. The fierce dedication to keeping each other safe. Yes. Isabella's voice was certain. I still want this. I still want you. Not despite the danger, but with full knowledge of what it means. Dante's expression cracked, relief and love flooding through. You're sure? I'm sure. Isabella kissed him. I choose you. I choose us. Whatever that means. They flew back to the mountain estate that night. Everyone exhausted, rattled, but alive. Teresa met them at the door. Took one look at their faces and immediately prepared food. Hot soup. Fresh bread. The kind of comfort that came from being home. I heard what happened. Teresa said quietly to Isabella. Are you all right? I am now. Isabella wrapped her hands around the warm bowl. It was terrifying, but also clarifying. How so? Teresa sat beside her. I've been fighting this whole time. Isabella admitted. Fighting my feelings. Fighting the reality of Dante's world. Fighting the fact that I love him. But today, when those bullets were flying, when he covered my body with his, I realized something. What's that? Teresa's voice was gentle. That some things are worth the risk. Isabella's eyes found Dante across the room. That love isn't about safety. It's about choosing someone even when the choice is hard. Even when it's dangerous. Even when it would be easier to walk away. And you've made your choice? Teresa smiled. I have. Isabella's voice was firm. I choose him. I choose this life. All of it. That night, after everyone else had gone to bed, Isabella found Dante in his study. He stood at the window, looking out at the dark mountains, lost in thought. Hey, she moved to his side. What are you thinking about? How close I came to losing you today. Dante's voice was rough. How stupid I was to let you come. Stop. Isabella turned him to face her. I made that choice. I insisted. And I'm glad I did. Because now I know exactly what I'm signing up for. No illusions. No fairy tales. Just reality. Reality isn't kind, Isabella. Dante's gray eyes were haunted. People die in my world. Good people. People I care about. I don't want that to be you. It won't be. Isabella's voice was fierce. Because you'll protect me. And I'll protect you. And we'll build something strong enough to weather whatever comes. You have too much faith in me. Dante's smile was sad. No. Isabella cupped his face. I have exactly the right amount. You've kept every promise. Honored every commitment. Given me more than I ever dreamed of. Why would I doubt you now? Because I don't deserve you. The admission was raw. I took you. Kidnapped you. Destroyed your life. You saved me. Isabella corrected. From a false life. From a man who didn't value me. From a future built on lies. You saved me even when it was hard. Even when I hated you for it. Even when it would have been easier to let me go. I could never let you go. Dante's voice was barely a whisper. Not then. Not now. Not ever. Good. Isabella smiled. Because I'm not going anywhere. She kissed him. Deep. Hungry. Pouring everything she felt into the contact. All the fear from earlier. All the love that had been growing. All the certainty that this was right. Dante kissed her back with equal intensity. His hands tangled in her hair. Held her close like she might disappear if he let go. When they finally broke apart, both were breathing hard. Looking at each other with new understanding. Come to bed. Isabella took his hand. We've both had enough excitement for one day. Dante let her lead him to his bedroom. Their bedroom now. She'd moved her things in gradually. Made space for herself in his life. In his home. They undressed slowly. No urgency. Just the comfort of being together. Safe. Alive. They climbed into bed. Dante pulled Isabella against his chest. Held her close. Breathed in the scent of her hair. I love you, he murmured. More than I've ever loved anything. More than power or money or control. You're my everything. I love you too. Isabella's voice was soft. My kidnapper. My protector. My partner. My love. Your husband? Dante's question was tentative. Someday? Isabella's heart skipped. Someday. When we've earned it. When we've built something strong enough to last. I'll wait. Dante's arms tightened. Forever if I have to. You won't have to wait that long. Isabella promised. Just long enough for me to be sure. To have no doubts. To know that choosing you is choosing my future. Not accepting my fate. Fair enough. Dante kissed her forehead. I can live with that. They fell asleep tangled together. Safe in the mountain fortress. Protected from the world outside. Building something new from the ashes of what had been destroyed. 3 months later, Isabella's restaurant opened. Cruz. The sign gleamed above the door. Simple. Elegant. Perfect. The opening night was packed. Friends. Family. Business associates. People from all parts of Isabella's new life. Teresa came, crying happy tears. Your mother would be so proud. Rico came, ate 3 desserts. Boss, you need to marry her before someone else realizes how good her cooking is. Dante came last. Walked in after all the guests were seated. Wore a dark suit that made him look devastating. He found Isabella in the kitchen, orchestrating chaos with calm authority. This is incredible. His voice held genuine pride. Everything you dreamed of. Better. Isabella smiled, flushed from the heat and the excitement. Because I earned it. Every bit of it. You did. Dante pulled her close despite the flour on her apron. I'm so proud of you, Angel. Thank you. Isabella looked up at him. For making this possible. For believing in me. For loving you? Dante finished. That was the easy part. Isabella kissed him. Quick. Sweet. I need to get back to work. But save me a seat? I want to eat with you after service. Always. Dante released her reluctantly. I'll be waiting. The night was a triumph. Every dish was perfect. Every guest was satisfied. The reviews would be glowing. But the best moment came at the end. When the last customer left. When the staff was cleaning up. When Isabella finally sat down across from Dante with a plate of her own creation. This is happiness, she said simply. This moment. This place. You. This is just the beginning. Dante reached across the table. Took her hand. We have so much more to build. I know. Isabella squeezed his fingers. And I can't wait. 6 months after the restaurant opened, Isabella woke to find Dante missing from bed. She found him in the garden. Her father's letters spread out around him. What are you doing? She sat beside him, reading. Dante's voice was quiet. Your father wrote about you constantly. About who you were becoming, who he hoped you'd be. And? Isabella leaned against his shoulder. And he'd be proud. Dante looked at her. Of everything you've accomplished, everything you've become, you're exactly the woman he hoped you'd be. Strong, independent, brave. I learned from the best. Isabella's throat was tight. He taught me to survive. You taught me to thrive. We make a good team. Dante's arm wrapped around her. The best team. Isabella agreed. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the sunrise paint the sky in shades of gold and pink. The mountain air was cool, fresh, full of possibility. I have something to ask you. Dante's voice held nervous energy. What? Isabella looked up at him. Your father's last letter. Dante pulled it from the stack. I never showed you this one. I was waiting for the right time. What does it say? Isabella took the page. Her father's handwriting was shaky. Like he'd been very ill when he wrote it. My dearest Isabella, if Dante shows you this letter, it means he's kept his promise. He's protected you, kept you safe, maybe even made you happy. I chose him for a reason. Not because he's the most powerful, or the most feared, but because he's the most honorable man I know in this world. Because he keeps his word. Because he loved his mother the way I loved yours. If you're reading this, you've probably fallen in love with him. Maybe you're fighting it, maybe you've accepted it. Either way, I want you to know I approve. Dante Moreno is a good man in a bad world. He'll keep you safe. He'll value you. He'll give you the life I couldn't. And if he asks you to marry him, say yes. Not because I'm telling you to, but because he'll spend the rest of his life trying to deserve you. And that's the best you can hope for in a husband. Love always, your father. Isabella's eyes burned with tears. He knew, even then, he knew this would happen. He hoped, Dante corrected gently, he hoped I would be man enough to deserve you. That you would be strong enough to see past my sins. That maybe, just maybe, we could find something real. We have. Isabella looked at him. We've found everything. Then say yes. Dante pulled a small box from his pocket. Opened it. Inside was a ring. Simple. Elegant. A diamond that caught the morning light. Dante, Isabella breathed. I'm not asking you to forget how we started. Dante's voice was rough with emotion. I'm asking you to choose how we continue. To choose me, us, this life we've built. Not because you have to, but because you want to. I do want to. Isabella's tears spilled over. I want all of it. Even the hard parts. Even the scary parts. I want you. Is that a yes? Dante's smile was tentative, hopeful. That's a yes. Isabella laughed through her tears. Yes, I'll marry you. Yes to everything. Dante slipped the ring on her finger. Kissed her with more love than Isabella had ever felt. More promise than she'd ever known. When they finally broke apart, the sun had fully risen, painting the world in gold. A new day. A new beginning. We should probably tell everyone. Isabella said. Teresa will cry. Rico will make terrible jokes. Let them. Dante pulled her close. Right now, this moment is just ours. They sat in the garden, surrounded by roses Dante's mother had planted, holding letters Isabella's father had written. Two broken people who'd found wholeness in each other. Against all odds. Against all logic. Against everything the world said should be true. They'd found love in the darkest place. And built something beautiful from the ruins. The wedding was small, private, just the people who mattered. Teresa and Rico. A few trusted friends. No grand spectacle. No hundreds of guests. Just two people choosing each other. Fully. Completely. With no doubts. Isabella wore a simple white dress. Different from the elaborate gown she'd worn for Marcus. This one was honest. Real. Hers. Dante wore a dark suit. His eyes never leaving her face as she walked toward him. They married in the garden. Surrounded by roses. Under the same mountain sky where they'd fallen in love. The vows were traditional. But the emotion behind them was anything but. When Dante promised to love and cherish her, Isabella heard the unspoken promise too. To protect. To honor. To value her above everything. When Isabella promised to love and obey, Dante heard what she really meant. To choose him. To stand beside him. To face whatever came together. You may kiss your bride. The officiant smiled. Dante kissed her. Gentle. Reverent. Like she was the most precious thing he'd ever touched. The small gathering applauded. Teresa cried. Rico made a joke about finally getting a sister. But Isabella barely heard any of it. She was too focused on the man holding her hand. The man who'd kidnapped her and saved her and loved her all at once. Hello, wife. Dante's voice held wonder. Hello, husband. Isabella smiled. How does it feel to finally make an honest woman of me? Like I've been given a gift I don't deserve. Dante pulled her close. But I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to earn it. You already have. Isabella kissed him again. You earned it the moment you chose to protect me instead of use me. The moment you gave me freedom instead of forcing captivity. The moment you loved me enough to let me make my own choice. And you chose me. Dante's voice was rough. Even knowing everything. All my sins. All my darkness. I chose you because of everything. Isabella corrected. Because you're real. Honest. You don't pretend to be something you're not. And you see me the same way. Not as a possession. Not as a prize. But as a partner. Always. Dante's gray eyes held hers. For the rest of my life. You're my partner. My equal. My everything. The reception was held in the main house. Food prepared by Isabella's restaurant team. Music. Dancing. Laughter. It was perfect. Not because everything went smoothly. But because it was real. Honest. A celebration of something earned rather than expected. Late in the evening, Isabella slipped away to the balcony. Needed a moment of air. Of space. To process everything. She heard footsteps behind her. Dante joined her at the railing. Regretting it already? His tone was teasing. But she heard the real question beneath. Not even a little bit. Isabella leaned against him. I was just thinking. About that day. In the bridal suite. When you locked the door and destroyed my life. I know. Dante's voice was quiet. I think about it too. Wonder if I did the right thing. If there was another way. There wasn't. Isabella turned to face him. Marcus would have destroyed me slowly. His debts. His lies. His betrayals. You destroyed my illusions in one day. And gave me a chance to build something real. Do you really believe that? Dante searched her face. I do. Isabella's voice was certain. I hate how we started. I hate that I didn't have a choice at the beginning. But I'm grateful for where we ended up. For who I became. For finding you. I don't deserve you. Dante's confession was raw. But I'm selfish enough to keep you anyway. Good. Isabella smiled. Because I'm selfish enough to want to be kept. She kissed him. Deep. Full of promise. Of future. Of forever. When they broke apart, fireworks exploded in the distance. Teresa must have arranged them. Beautiful bursts of color against the dark sky. Perfect timing. Dante laughed. Perfect everything, Isabella corrected. Perfect husband, perfect wedding, perfect life. It won't always be perfect. Dante warned. There will be hard days. Dangerous days. Days when you question this choice. I know. Isabella took his hand, led him back inside. But we'll face them together. As partners. As equals. As husband and wife. Always. Dante's promise was absolute. For the rest of our lives. They rejoined the celebration. Danced until dawn. Celebrated with the people who'd become family. And when the sun finally rose on their first day as husband and wife, Isabella knew with absolute certainty that she'd made the right choice. Not because Dante was perfect. Not because their beginning was romantic. Not because their future was guaranteed to be easy. But because he was hers. And she was his. And they'd chosen each other freely. Completely. With full knowledge of what that meant. In a world of violence and darkness, they'd found light. In a story that started with kidnapping, they'd found love. In a relationship built on necessity, they'd found partnership. And that was enough. More than enough. Everything. 1 year later, Isabella stood in her restaurant kitchen. Training a new chef. Laughing at a joke Rico had made. Outside, the city bustled with life. Cruz had become one of the most popular restaurants in the region. Reservations booked months in advance. But Isabella's favorite part was still the quiet moments. Early mornings before the staff arrived. When she could experiment with new recipes. Dream about the future. Dante found her there. As he often did. Wrapped his arms around her waist. Kissed her neck. How's my brilliant wife? His voice held pride. Exhausted. Isabella leaned back against him. Happy. Pregnant. Dante went very still. What did you just say? Pregnant. Isabella turned in his arms. 8 weeks. I found out this morning. For a moment, Dante couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. His eyes shone with unshed tears. We're having a baby? His voice cracked. We're having a baby. Isabella confirmed, smiling through her own tears. Are you happy? Happy? Dante laughed, picked her up and spun her around. I'm terrified. I'm ecstatic. You're going to be a father. Isabella finished. And you're going to be amazing at it. I don't know how. Dante set her down gently. My father was. Not you. Isabella cupped his face. You're nothing like your father. You're kind, protective, loving. You'll be the father your child needs. Our child. Dante's hand moved to her stomach. Still flat but holding their future. Our child deserves better than this world. Then we'll give them better. Isabella's voice was firm. We'll protect them, love them, teach them to be strong but kind. Powerful but gentle. Everything your mother wanted for you. Everything your father wanted for you. Dante added. Everything we want for each other. Isabella finished. They stood together. In the kitchen where Isabella had built her dream. In the city where Dante had built his empire. In the life they'd created together. Against all odds. Against all logic. Against everything the world said should be true. They'd found love. Built a family. Created something beautiful from the darkest beginning. And as Dante held Isabella close, feeling the life growing inside her, he sent a silent prayer to his mother. And to Antonio Cruz. Thank you. For bringing her to me. For trusting me with her. For giving me this chance. Isabella heard his whispered words. Knew who he was thanking. And added her own prayer. Thank you. For seeing what I couldn't. For protecting me even when I didn't understand. For giving me the strength to choose love over fear. Their past had been violent. Their beginning forced. Their path anything but traditional. But their future was theirs to write. Together. As partners. As equals. As family. And that was more than either of them had ever dared to hope for. More than they'd ever dreamed possible. Everything.